Hello and welcome to another episode of 3V TV with me, Tony Brown of TonyLBrown.com, creator of the 3V strategy for business development and growth. It's a real privilege to have you here. Thank you for joining me for half an hour of your time on this Thursday evening. We are running every Thursday from 8 till 8:30 UK time, GMT time. If you're over there in the east side of the US, then it's 3 p.m. And if you're over there on the west side, Pacific time, then it should be 12 p.m. So, like I said, welcome. Thank you for having me this evening. This is a show where it's all about helping you develop the lifestyle you want by building the business you dream of. And guys, it's achievable. And I know it's achievable because I've done it and I'm doing it. And, I give thanks every morning. I give thanks that I can have breakfast every morning with my family. I can have lunch every afternoon and I can have dinner every evening. No more sitting in traffic commuting for an hour to get to my job, sitting in a dead office. I can live the lifestyle that I want because I've built the business that provides me that lifestyle. And that's what I want for you. So that's what you're going to get today. What have we got for you today? Well, we've got three main features. If you remember, last week was action-packed. It was fast and furious. I think I tried to cram too much content in there. But you know what? I'm a believer that it's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. So today we've just got three main features for you. So firstly, I just want to talk about something that you can do to keep yourself strong in your field and to keep yourself ahead of the game. It's really important. So I just want to share that with you. Secondly, I want to share with you a tool, a free tool that you can access, which will help you to develop products, resources, and services for your clients that they will thank you for. And there's a tool that's available online, and I just want to share that with you and go through it with you. And thirdly, I want to talk about the one thing that you can implement that will ensure you hit your deadlines and you deliver through on the tasks you're meant to do. Real simple thing, but it's so powerful. So those are the three key things. But before we get into the main content of the show, firstly, I want to thank everyone who has supported the 3VS podcast. It was launched this week, and we're now live in iTunes in the business management and the education and tech categories. So if you just go into those categories in iTunes and just search for 3VS, or if you search for Tony L. Brown, you should find a podcast. I would really appreciate it if you would just take a moment to check out a few episodes. They're really valuable and they're well produced. And have a listen, give me a rating, give me a review, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. It's also available, the podcast is also available on the Stitcher radio platform, and I've also made it available on the TuneIn radio platform. Now, we know when it comes to podcasts, iTunes gets a lot of play. Usually it's people go directly to iTunes, but there's a huge cohort of people that don't use iTunes or don't use iDevices. So we've made sure we've made it available for that cohort of people as well. So like I said, the podcast is live. Go and check it out. Have a listen. There's 4 episodes deep so far. We're going to launch it, or we're going to publish a podcast every Monday around 6 o'clock. There'll be a new episode launched for you. So check it out. That's the podcast. Also, I just want to thank everyone who has engaged with me on social media this past week. It's been very active on social media. Twitter's been, it's been really buzzing lately, and I've met some great people out there on Twitter. And just to give a quick shout out. I love engaging. Let's continue to engage and continue to make those connections on Twitter. It's so powerful, these social media platforms. You get to meet people that you never thought you never would have had an opportunity to meet before. So big shout out to everyone who I connected with on Twitter. There's one person, I've got my live Twitter stream here. There's one person I just really want to shout out today. and that is James Dearsley. So big shout out to James Dearsley. I was on Google Plus yesterday and I saw a live Google Hangout which James was hosting, and it was around digital marketing and social media marketing. I thought, let me check it out. I had a watch, and there were some really high profile guests on there, and I thought, wow, James is from the UK. He had Guy Kawasaki on there, and other well-known influencers within the space on there, and it was just nice to see somebody from the UK representing on that platform at that level. So big shout out to James Dearsley. If you want to check him out, you can get him on Twitter at James Dearsley. That's Dearsley. Give him a shout out. Tell him that you heard about him through 3VS or 3V TV, and just say hi to him. Also, check him out on Google Plus. He runs his show. It's a weekly show, and like I said, if you're into digital marketing, which you should be if you're here, social media marketing, and you want to really stay up to speed with what's happening in that sector, then James's show is definitely something you want to check out. So go and find him. You can also find him at thedigitalmarketingbureau.com. That's thedigitalmarketingbureau.com. Big shout out to James Dearsley. I'd love to get you on the show sometime soon, so let's continue to connect. And like I said, people, make best use of these platforms, because we're living in the connections economy, as Seth Godin says. So that's that. So moving forward, like I said, if you do want to communicate with the show, if you do want to post a question or a comment, then you can use the question box. If you are in Google Hangout, you can use the question box to the right. If you're not in Google Hangout and you're watching this on the website, then please just tweet me. Just use Twitter. Like I said, I've got the live stream here. It's at, it's actually down there. There it is. If you just use that Twitter address, but use the hashtag 3VTV, and I will pick up your question or comment. So what we got for you today, something else I want to just quickly share, and this is so important, given we're 2 weeks in now to the new year. It's 2015. We're 2 weeks in. It's the 15th of January, and it's about that time of year where we've set these New Year's resolutions, which I addressed in the first episode and said, forget the resolutions, focus on solutions. And it's starting to, the rubber's really meeting the road now. You've been to the gym and you're starting to feel the aches and pains. You've established a new morning routine and you're starting to get a bit weary and tired. And I just, I was talking yesterday to somebody, and it's really come to a head for me. This is for me, my personal life, that I'm no longer celebrating the starting of things. I've always been a great starter. I get these ideas and I just run with them. I'll put all the energy at the front end and really get excited about these things. But I'm known, and I know myself very well, I'm very self-aware, to be a weak finisher. I get bored quickly and I move on to something else. And I was saying to this person I was speaking to, it's kind of the gift and the curse of the entrepreneur or the creative, that we get really enthusiastic at the front end, but as time goes on and it gets a little bit boring and you want to put it down and move on. So like I said, I'm no longer celebrating starting something. Instead, we're going to be celebrating the completion of things. That's for me, and I encourage you to do the same. It's very easy to start a marathon. Anyone can start a marathon. I could go and sign up for the London Marathon and I could start and I could get a few miles in, but there's no celebrating the starting of a marathon. The celebration should be at the end when you've completed it. So I just want to encourage you, don't get too caught up in the celebrating of starting things. Focus on the completion of it, because that's where you see change. That's where you see the real breakthroughs, and that's where you see the success. It's at the end, not the start. So let's not celebrate starting, guys. Let's celebrate completing and achieving. So that's something I really want to just leave with you and something to think about. Right. Something else I really want to focus on in today's show is I've been again talking to a few people and engaging on Twitter with a number of people, and I really want to just emphasize and share with you something that you can do to keep yourself fresh, to keep yourself ahead of the game, and to keep yourself head and shoulders above others within your space, whatever space that might be. Whether you're currently an employee and you hope to make the transition into self-employment, but you're still in your workplace, whether your job is at risk, you're at risk of redundancy, and you're going to have to go up against other colleagues to apply for the jobs that remain. There's something that you need to do, and it's about lifelong learning, and it's about personal development. And I really encourage you. I'm surprised at how many people, whether they go to, they finish school, they go to college, some of them go to university, they get their degree, and they just stop learning. And it's surprising how many people, they just or more or less give up on developing themselves. They don't stay up to speed with what's happening in the sector. They don't read. They don't listen to any materials. So it's unfortunate that that's the case. We kind of almost blasé about the whole personal development of ourselves. And I really want to encourage you that we're living in a time where it's very competitive. No matter what field you're in, it's very, very competitive. And one of the things that really helped me to establish myself when I was an employee, one of the things that really helped me to establish myself and to really excel in my field and to be head and shoulders above others who started at the same time as me and others who were, around the same kind of age as myself, was that I was serious about my personal development. I was serious about growing and learning my field, and learning from other fields as well. I didn't just stay within my remit. It was a case of, okay, I want to understand that a bit more. I was into sales and marketing, and then even more so now digital marketing and things like that, business, etc. I wanted to grow as an individual, and that really pushed me head and shoulders above others who I was working with amongst my peers. And when the opportunity came for me to, when opportunities arose for, job openings and promotions, etc., I was able to step into those roles and step into those opportunities and feel equipped to walk into them. And I was grateful that I got some of those opportunities, and there was no real surprise amongst those who I was working with. There was no real surprise because they knew I was serious about developing and growing and learning. So again, you want to stay ahead of your field. You want to, be the top of your game. You've got to invest in yourself. You have to. So there's a few things you can do. And when I say invest, it doesn't necessarily have to be financially. It will help, but it doesn't necessarily have to be financially. But something that I done was I invested in books and ebooks specifically, not ebooks, sorry, audio books more specifically. So because I knew my learning style was more audible, I'm not a great reader. I've never been a great reader. I read, as you can see, there's quite a few books around. I do read, but I'm not a strong reader. I may get the paper or the hardback, but I would also get the audio version because I know I can just plug it in. I can go on my walks, or when I'm driving to work or driving around, I would listen to those materials. And it was that really helped me to excel in my field. So books, reading, guys, you got to read. You really got to read up on not only things within your sector, within your field, but the broader things as well. So reading is definitely something you need to commit to. Also, podcasts. Guys, we're living in a time where digital media is so accessible, and you want to know something, you want to learn something, you want to grow in a certain field, podcasts are freely available, and they're so valuable. You can go to, again, iTunes or any audio platform, type in your search term, type in whatever you want to look for, and you will find quite a few podcasts within that field, within that sector. And they're so valuable. Like I said, you know, it's freely available. You can stream it, you can download it, and you can learn so much from some real influencers within the field. So definitely take and make best use of those things. Thirdly, videos. Again, platforms such as YouTube. The amount of times I get stuck with something and I can go to YouTube and just type in a search term, and poof, a whole list of videos come up around that topic, and that'll be whatever it might be. Just the other day, I'll share a story quickly. Just the other day, I needed to repair my tumble dryer. My tumble dryer went, it was going round, it was still working, the motor was working. So I went on YouTube and I found a few potential solutions and identified that it was the heater that was gone. So again, done a bit more searching, and I found out how to remove the heater. And within 10 minutes, I'd taken the back off my tumble dryer, I'd taken the heater off, I'd jumped on online, and I'd found the right part and purchased a replacement heater. 2 days later, the heater came, and within, again, 5 or 10 minutes, I'd refit the heater, put it back on, and bam, it was working fine. Now, previously, I would have had two options: call out a repairman who would have charged me for a call out charge and for parts and labor. So potentially we're looking, what, £150, or scrap the tumble dryer and buy a new one, which would have cost me £200 to £300, where this solution cost me £35 for the part and a few minutes of my time. Now, that was just from jumping on YouTube, just simply jumping on YouTube and finding out that solution. So again, you know, that's something you really need to make best use of as well. Any field you want to grow in, any field you want to learn in, books, audio books, podcasts, and YouTube videos. And also, there are, depending on the field, there are universities and educational establishments that post all their lectures online for free. So I believe it's MIT.com. You can go on there, and basically you can download, you can watch and listen to all of their curriculum, all their lectures, etc., for free. And these are colleges, these are places of education where people pay thousands of dollars to go and attend, and you can just download that material for free. You can also, if you are an iTunes or a Apple device user, get an app called iTunes U. And again, iTunes U for university, full of learning materials. And again, there's places like Stanford University, Oxford University. They post most of their, or a lot of their curriculum on there and make it freely available. And I'm talking about the audio lectures. I'm talking about the slides from the lectures, notes from the lectures. There's no reason for us to not grow in our fields. So the choice is yours. Do you want to excel in your field, or do you want to stay stagnant? Now, I'm a great believer that if you're not growing in your field, you are slowly becoming irrelevant and redundant. And given the current circumstances and the current the landscape out there in terms of job cuts and things like that, you don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen. So I encourage you, invest in yourself and develop. Moving on, I wanted to share with you a tool or a resource that you can use to develop products and services for your customers that they will not only flock to, but they will thank you for. And I did cover this same topic in a podcast. I believe it was episode number 2. Since recording that podcast, I've come across this resource, and it's a great resource. And what it is, if you remember last week, I mentioned this book, The Business Model Generation. And the author of this book and the people who put this together, they've basically launched a counterpart to it. Now, in here, the business model generation, you can see it's broken up into segments, and 2 of the key segments are the value proposition and the customer segments. So what they've done is basically focused on those key areas. The value proposition, what is it you're offering to your customers, and the customer segment being, who are they? Who are your customers? What's their makeup? And again, once you can get those two elements of your business model correct, once you can understand those two areas, the rest of it will just kind of fall together. And so what they've done is basically they've produced a new book, similar layout, very visual, very hands-on, very practical. And they have focused and really, zoomed in on those two areas, the value proposition and the customer segment. And I'm just going to share my screen with you, and I'll just talk you through this. So if we just have a quick look at this. So here it is. If you go to strategy, I can't even say it, strategizer.com, you can see it there anyway, strategizers.com. Or if you just type in value proposition design to Google, and you'll be able to come to this website. And what you can do with this is just an overview of the book. You can see here. So here it is. But you can get the first 100 pages for free. And I've downloaded the first 100 pages, and just looking at it, there's enough there to get started. However, I've gone ahead and purchased the book because I know it's a valuable resource. It'd be a great tool to have, a great resource to have in your library. So I encourage you to do the same. There is enough in the first 100 pages. There's enough there to run with. You can understand what the tool does. There's a template you can print off and use. There's enough there to run with. So you don't necessarily have to buy the book. But I'm not saying just download that and don't buy the book. I've bought it and I would buy it. I would encourage you to buy it, but there's enough there to crack on with it. So let's just have a quick look. So here's a download. And again, it's very similar to the business model generation. It's very visual, very well put together. It's a beautiful book to look at. And this is the original business model canvas here. And you can see, like I said, they're focused on the value proposition area and the customer segment area. So I just want to show you the canvas itself. So here it is. So you'll see there you've got the value map. So within there, it's got so what value do you basically offer through your products and services? So in this segment here, you would list the products and services that your value proposition is built around. And then in this segment here, you would list, and not, when I say list, I don't necessarily mean via text. Again, it's a very visual tool. You can use doodles, diagrams, post-it notes, but basically you would just compile in this area here all your gain creators. What gain does your product and service create for your customers? What do they gain by using your products and services? And then down here in this segment, what are your pain relievers? What pain does your products and service relieve your customers of? So that's the value map. And then looking over this side, this is your customer profile. So again, you would really focus and zoom in on your customer, on their wants and needs, etc. And you'd focus on these specific areas. Over here, you would put in what jobs are they trying to get done? What do they want to achieve in their lives? And what they encourage you to do is to list it in the words of the customer. How would they speak about the things, the tasks they need to do on a day-to-day basis? The things that they really need to, I just need to get this done. I need to do this job every day and I just want to get it done. What do they want to achieve in their life? And then you'd come over down here, and again, you would put the pains, the customers' pains. What pain do they feel? What things hinder them from achieving their goals and from achieving the jobs, getting the jobs done? What are the things that they get bad feelings or bad outcomes by doing? And again, at the top here, you've got the gains. So what do your target customers want to gain? So they've all got something they want to achieve. Everyone's got something they want to achieve. So it's identifying what your target customers want to achieve. So again, it's a great tool, and I encourage you to jump over to the website. And again, you can download. They're giving away the first 100 pages absolutely free. And you can see here, you know, there's enough in here to really get started on this. You can really put this into practice and start working through it. And if you're anything like me, you're a visual person and you like tools and templates and things like that, then you'll find this really, really useful. So again, if you go over to, I'm going to try and say it, strategizer.com, or you can just go to Google and type in value proposition design. Come over to the website and you can just click here and get your 100 free, the first 100 pages for free. Like I said, it's a great resource. I've used it in the past. I'm using it now. I've had the business model generation for some time, and it's a tool that I use all the time, and I encourage you to do the same. So there we go. Moving on, the last point I really want to focus on is something that we all know about and something that we all take for granted, and something that sometimes we don't implement. And it's something we can do to ensure that we follow through and deliver on tasks and on goals that we have to achieve. Again, you know, we're coming into it's the second week of the new year. We've all got goals. We've all set new goals, etc. We've got things we want to achieve this year. But just working through some things this week, I was really reminded of the power of the deadline. And you know, it's something that we take for granted. And even as I say it, you know, I could just imagine people thinking, well, a deadline, well, that's nothing new. And it's not. And I'm not suggesting it as something new. But what I'm saying is, if we really re-establish deadlines in our lives and deadlines in our work and in our businesses and take them seriously, we will achieve much, much more. Now, this week, I had committed to delivering a workshop, and I'd announced the workshop was going to take place. And leading up to the workshop, I was promoting it, and you know, people were expressing an interest, but nobody had signed up. So when I was checking the members list at the back end, and I was seeing, well, not many people have signed up, I hadn't put any work in. You know, I had an outline of the workshop. I'd had an idea of which slides I'm going to use, etc., and the stories I'm going to tell and how it's all going to flow. But I hadn't really put any effort into pulling it together. And then suddenly, the day of the workshop, a few people signed up, and I thought, okay, wow, I need to pull this together. And it was Monday morning. No, it was Tuesday, actually. It was Tuesday morning. I opened up my file and I thought, I need to get this done. Well, I'm delivering it tonight. It's at 8 o'clock and I've got a few hours. And the amount of work I had to do behind the scenes was overwhelming. And I mean, I literally, as I looked at it, I felt overwhelmed. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to get this done in time. But I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to work until I can't work anymore. I'm just going to keep pushing. I'm going to put the slides together, get the visuals, get it all done. I've got to prepare some other materials for the back end. I've got to do some videos. I've got to sort out the thank you page. There were so many things I needed to do. And I just thought, there's no way I'm going to get this done. But because I'd committed to delivering it at 8 o'clock, and because I'd saw people had signed up and they will be expecting something to happen, I had to deliver. And you know what? I hit the deadline. I'd done it. I'd got all the slides together. I'd got everything, all the back end stuff together in place, and I was amazed at how much I actually achieved in that period of time. And it was because I had a deadline, and that deadline and that accountability and that obligation to deliver drove me to work beyond my potential. So it's just something I really want to encourage you to do, is to reestablish deadlines and accountability in whatever it is you're doing, and you will be surprised. It's very easy to set a goal and to be unaccountable to that goal, and the date or the time or whatever comes and goes. But if you set a goal, you set a deadline, and you're accountable to somebody else, you've got to deliver this, because you're accountable. Someone is expectant. They want to see some results. There's a stronger likelihood that you will achieve that, and you will work at a rate and at a pace and at a level that you probably didn't believe you could do. So I encourage you, re-establish some deadlines back in your life. So that's it. We're just looked at the clock. We're at the 8:31 mark. I have tried to condense this show and stick within the time frame, but I've just had a question come through, so I'm just going to check the question and answers panels. Okay, what lessons? Got a question here from a good friend, Leon Streete. He's asked, what lesson have you learned for next time? That's a good question, Leon, and I'm hoping you're referring to the point I was just talking about setting deadlines. If the lessons I've learned is that I would prepare much earlier, and I would have templates ready to go. So like next week, I'm going to deliver the same workshop again next week. I've just got to tweak it a bit more, and I would also get help as well. That's another lesson I've learned. I would get help. What else would I do? So I wouldn't leave it to last minute either, and that's something that I'm terrible for. I'm terrible for having things sitting around and just waiting for last minute, and probably in the back of my mind I was thinking, well, no one's going to turn up, and no one's going to register for the workshop. But when they did, that really, I kind of I had to step up my game and prepare and put things in place. So I hope that's answered your question. I appreciate your question. It's good to have you on the show. And I just want to give credit where credit is due. A big shout out to Leon. He's actually just launched a new podcast with, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but with a business partner of himself, and it's called Small Business Elevation. So go and check that out. If you're in the business sector, if you're into marketing, if you're into business, then again I encourage you, and I recommend the Small Business Elevation podcast. I listened to the first 2 episodes and it was a good listen. So again, big shout out to Leon Streete, and again, we'll have him on the show soon. I'm sure we will. So there's an invite, Leon. I'd love to have you on the show, and we can chop it up. So we've gone slightly over time. If you enjoyed the show, then just again shoot me a tweet. Send it over to Tony L Brown 3VS using the hashtag 3VTV. If you haven't already done so, jump over to tonylbrown.com and grab yourself a copy of my free ebook, and it's 7 steps to prepare you to leave work and start your own business. So if you go to tonylbrown.com, you'll see there's a box in the right hand side. You can click there and get your free guide. If you want to go straight to the URL, then it's tonylbrown.com/my free guide. So grab yourself a copy of that. Also, if you do want to get a bit more, if you want to get a bit more support and a bit more structured support, then I run a weekly webinar workshop, which you can attend. You can register for it. I will take you through the process I followed to go from being an employee to being a business owner, and it's a step-by-step process that I've kind of refined over the years, and it worked for me. So if it can work for me, it can work for you. So, you know, I'm a great believer that you could put a system in place and you could be walking away from your job in 12 months time and starting your own business. It doesn't have to be a lengthy process. So if you want to check out that workshop, if you go to tonylbrown.com/action, and you can register a place there. The next workshop is taking place next Tuesday, the 20th, and it takes place at 8 o'clock. And I highly recommend jumping on there. And if you know someone who would benefit from that, then just share it with them. So, I mean, the last one I poured out my heart to those that turned up, and I gave them everything I had. I was exhausted by the end of it, but the comments I got back was it was really valuable, and you know they got a lot from it. So that's tonylbrown.com/action. That's it. We've run slightly over, but hopefully it was all worth it. I'm here again next week, and I'm here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Again, shoot your tweets, your comments. I'd love to engage with you and to have some feedback from you guys. I really appreciate you spending this half an hour with me and giving up your Thursday evening. And just keep pressing on, keep pushing. Like I said, it's a serious time. The landscape out there it's getting tougher, and you know, you're accountable. You're accountable for providing for your family and for bringing an income into your home. So, you know, just keep pushing, keep pressing, and keep your heads up. I will see you all next week. Thank you and good night.